In this video, we'll be going over the IRS notice CP01C. Generally speaking, this notice means that the IRS has received your documents to support an identity theft claim or a report. So basically, one way that you can report possible identity theft is by reporting it on IRS form 14039, which is probably what most people who receive this notice have already done. So whether you called the IRS, whether you went to the website, they probably directed you to IRS form 14039. That's the identity theft affidavit, which you completed, sent to the IRS, and now the IRS has basically flagged your record and said, yep, this account has identity theft associated with it. What that means is that the Internal Revenue Service will treat your account with a little bit more diligence than a normal account. So all tax records are protected by the Internal Revenue Service for obvious taxpayer protection reasons, but anyone that's flagged with identity theft takes additional precautions. So let's go through this form and just kind of completely understand what it means. So obviously this is a case study. I pulled this version of the form down from the IRS website. In the top right corner, you'll see CP01C. You'll see the tax period that may apply, the date of the notice. So anytime that there is a notice and a date, if there are next steps that you must follow based on the IRS guidance or instructions, a lot of times it'll be tied to the notice date. So if it says within 30 days, it's talking about within 30 days of this notice date. In this particular letter, there is no such due date. This is simply an acknowledgement. So you have a taxpayer ID number, which will probably be your social security number. And then there will be an 800 number to contact the IRS. This should be your taxpayer address. As I say in every one of these videos, if you don't keep your address up to date with the IRS, then it will make it very difficult for the IRS to keep you apprised on things like possible identity theft. So the ways that you can update the IRS: every year when you file your tax return, the IRS updates their tax records with your address of record if it's different. So if you recently filed your tax return and your new address is reflected on that, you don't have to do anything. You can also call the IRS. You can contact them, validate your identity, and then over the phone, and then they would update your address accordingly. So if you imagine, they're going to need to verify your identity, specifically if your record is flagged. So that's, just be prepared when you do call, because a lot of people say that there are long wait times for the IRS, and you want to make sure that you have the appropriate documentation available. And then third and finally, you can file IRS form 8822, which is the change of address form. The business version of that is IRS form 8822-B. We'll put links to articles and videos that we've created on those tax forms in our website, or in the show notes. We'll also put a link to the resources we created for the identity theft affidavit for those of you who may be interested. So basically the IRS is saying, hey, we received your documents, supports your identity theft report. We've marked your records, you marked your account, and then basically what you would need to do is just keep compliant with the tax code as it is, file your regular returns. If you have a balance, pay down your balance. Probably the different thing is that you would be encouraged to receive an identity protection personal identification number. So it's also known as an IPPIN. So what happens is you would use your IP PIN, which is a 6-digit number, anytime you have an electronic or a paper filed return, in addition to the information that you put on there. So if you have your IP PIN, you can file your tax return. Someone that's obtain your information the other from criminal means will likely not have your IP PIN, and they would not be able. The IRS would reject their tax return. So if you request an IP PIN, you can go to the IRS website. We'll click this link. We'll just see what happens when we click this link. So there you go. You can walk through this, and it tells you more information about using an IP PIN. You can retrieve it if you lose it. There are FAQs about the IP PIN. It is important to know that each calendar year it changes. The IRS generates a new PIN for each account, so you would need to. The IRS will send you an annual notice with your new IP PIN each year. That's the CP01A notice. We've created a video on that. We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So you can get an IP PIN through the IRS website. Generally, it's available for most of the tax year, but they do shut down between November and mid-January. That's usually when a lot of the IRS functionality is shut down so they can gear up for the upcoming tax season. So let's go back to this document. Basically, it just kind of walks through how you don't need to get a PIN. If you choose to receive one, you can't opt out of it. You will get a new PIN every year in the mail with your CP01A notice. So if you don't want to have a PIN that you have to maintain every year, then just file your tax return as you normally would. There are also resources such as publication 5027, which walks through identity theft for taxpayers, and then a little bit more information about how the IRS works, more likely what they don't do. So you should never get emails from the IRS, but if you do get suspicious looking emails, you can forward them to the IRS at phishing, phishing, @irs.gov. Forward that. Do not open it. Do not open any attachments. Just send the whole thing to the IRS and let them deal with it. You can also check out the federal government's websites at the Federal Trade Commission and the Social Security Administration. Generally speaking, if you have outside business, for example, Social Security benefits, if your tax record has been compromised, it might be a good idea to check your Social Security record to make sure that that is on the up and up. I did notice a link here. Let's see if there's anything of note about your CP01C notice, and there is. So if you need additional information, you can go to that link and it will pop up. A lot of times some of these links end up being dead links, so it's good to know that this one is still alive. So that's all we have for this notice. Just no specific action required if you receive a CP01C notice. Simply, you have the option to get an IP PIN, but you can do that anytime. You don't have to be a victim of identity theft to do that. You can just apply that as an additional layer of protection for your tax return. So, but it is important to know what you should do and what the IRS recommends if you do get this notice. So we'll put links in the show notes to the articles and the videos we created on some of these other forms. But if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.